Hello to everyone out there browsing around on YouTube. I am Thorstein from Cinema Terror, and this film is quite a weird little thing. Some movies could only be made in Japan, and this is definitively one of them. I guess you could call it a perverted romantic comedy. So if that makes you curious, then join me for the next few minutes while I discuss the 2013 film Ibitsu. Ibitsu starts out like what I assume most love stories do in Japan, with a sexual assault on a train. The young high school girl Madoka suddenly feels some unwanted hands going up her legs, and she quickly reacts to it by piercing the assailant's hand with a safety pin. The hand belonged to Keigo, a young boy who Madoka forces with her to the local police station. There she finds out just how much of a loser this Keigo kid is, and she decides not to press charges, but rather takes revenge by intruding on his private life, by humiliating and blackmailing him, and even move into his house so she can have full control of every aspect of his life.
俺の大切な世界だ。
いいから、そこどいて。
どうしてもここを通ろうとする気なら、女子高生といえども力ずくで。
I had absolutely no idea what to expect when I pressed play on this film. I kind of expected something that would fare into exploitation territory, as this is a type of no-budget production, where I'm used to seeing filmmakers throw lots and lots of nudity and violence, instead of having faith in their storytelling abilities to entertain the viewer. Surprisingly, Ibitsu turned out to be a film that nearly, just nearly, became touching, in an emotional way that is. Most of the film deals with interactions between Madoka and Keigo. Madoka is played by Hitomi Kumatani, and she is weirdly disconnected to the world. She wanders around in her own mind and does not display much of emotions. We see where this is coming from, as she feels even alienated from her own parents. She finds a strange relationship with Keigo, as he lacks the social skills or intelligence to hide anything from her, and in a weird way she finds solace in putting Keigo in the most embarrassing situations that she can come up with.
てか何なんだよこの屈辱的な真似。
あなたが二度と愚かな行為をしないように。
だから俺は痴漢なんて。
Keigo, played by Masahiro Ishida, comes off as the ultimate loser. He works at an adult sex shop, mostly due to his expertise in using sex toys and writing glowing reviews of them online. He is a virgin who has never come close to having a relationship with a female, and he lives alone in a house where he spends most of his time working on new models for full-body sex toys. Meeting Madoka gives him his first chance to actually connect with a female, but since Keigo is unable to stand up for himself, he is unable to make her take him seriously. It also feels a bit out of character that Keigo, who is so afraid of girls, would actually dare to grope someone on a train, or that a person like that is someone that Madoka would feel comfortable moving in with, even if he does reveal himself to be little of a threat to her safety. I had fun watching these two weirdos interact with each other, and there are some very funny comedic setups every now and then to tickle your funny bone. Together with some nice, sweet music by Kentaro Nojima, I started to care for this kooky duo and hoped they would overcome their personal obstacles. That never seemed to fully happen, as the character development is strangely lacking in the end. They didn't seem to have an arc, or learn all that much during the events that took place, and that was a big letdown for me. There was potential to take this and go beyond making just a silly little comedy with erotic overtones and make it work on an emotional level, so I think they dropped the ball by not seeing what they potentially could have had with Ibitsu. The eroticism of the film is played up by the way they shot the film, but this is actually a film without any female nudity at all. They tease it several times, but the most they get is shots of our main girl Madoka in her underwear. Ibitsu was based on a manga by Kazuto Okada. I'm not a manga reader, but I did take a scroll through some of them to see how closely the movie was compared to the material it was based on. And the manga is much more explicit and plays into the sexuality of especially Madoka much more. The manga also continues the story after the events that take place in this film, which makes sense as the ending to the movie version of Ibitsu is really not an ending at all and feels like it's just ending abruptly. Ibitsu is a strange film. Perhaps it's strange to me as I'm not Japanese and not all that knowledgeable about their culture, and that strangeness does make things like this film interesting to me. Ibitsu nearly has fart and is nearly sexy, but ultimately feels like it falls in between those two things. They should have went further in either direction, by either amping up the emotional side of it, or go full on exploitation pinku. While I did find it interesting, I wouldn't recommend this to the average viewer. Ibitsu gets the adequate score of 2.5 out of 5. I'm guessing there aren't a lot of people that have seen this film, but if you are one of the few, then make sure to leave your thoughts on the film in the comment section below. And are there any other whatever the hell you would call this type of films out there that you would recommend? The only other film of this type that I've seen would be Sayaka, the Cute and Careless Girl, which I just so happen to have a video review of on my channel. So if this is your type of cinema, then check that review out as well. Hope you enjoyed this review of Ibitsu. Leave a like, don't forget to subscribe, and all of that stuff, and I'll hope to see you again next time here on Cinema Terror.